place it's happening, when it's happening, so with what month, what year. Because that was important for this particular story. So this is how I did the scenario for this book, with every scene and when the scene happened. But for the next one I'm doing by myself, no, it's just... Oh no, wait, I did the scenario with the places. It happened in different places. Okay. As I said before, I am figuring it out as I go. Learning from experience. Maybe I should talk to more comic writers.
And about the dialogue boxes, you write your text by hand?
No. So we tried. I tried. So when you see the exhibition, you'll see that the speech bubbles are blank, because I did try to handwrite some of the dialogues, and it was deemed not comprehensible, like not legible. So I was like, which is kind of true. Like my handwriting is very irregular, and so we decided to have digital font. So the story of Crans is that at first I had a font made with my own handwriting.
Usually.
And I really liked it. Yeah, I loved it. But again, it was like the marketing group thought it wasn't legible. So at the last time we had to choose another font, and I went with the most classic one. So if I could change one thing about this book, that would be it, because that's something you can see that something is wrong with the speech bubble in the book. Like they're too big, and the font is not really interesting. It's weird. But,
so who will choose font for Croatian edition?
I don't know. Good question. It was translated in Italian just once, and I wasn't asked. So I think they just choose the same font.
Yes, it's what they usually do. I'm always very surprised to what extent they manage to keep the font, even though it is writing. It's really impressive, but usually publishers in Croatia manage to keep the same.
Yes, because the editor in Fauve developed a special program. He's actually IT expert, and to get the sample of text and then to develop the same copy from the Croatian.
I was not aware about that, but I mean, it's really important to keep it, because it's really part of the drawing.
It is,
the images.
That's really, as I said before, if I could change one thing about this book, that would be it, because this is actually very problematic when you are an illustrator, a comic book artist, or a graphic designer even, which is also something I studied, but you have to think the image and the text at the same time. You can't just think of the image and then add the text afterwards. It doesn't make sense. So, and it shows, I think. But the font I used, I chose is really like the generic comic font that everybody has on their computer, so the Sputnik won't have any problem.
So this time you were inspired by dance. Can you tell us what else inspires you when you draw inspiration from movies, music?
Movies a lot. I love series. Series don't inspire me. So I'm a cinephile. I love movies and series. Movies tend to inspire me more than series. Series interest me in terms of writing. I think series are really interesting when it comes to writing, but not as much when it comes to directing.
Yeah, especially nowadays.
Yes, but character development, which is something I'm really interested in, like portraits in general, are something that's really well done in series, and I analyze that a lot when I watch series. If inspiration comes from, I guess when you're an artist, you're always talking about yourself, so it's just like things I'm going through. So my future book, like not the Cocteau one, the one that's going to come afterwards, was I wrote it during the pandemic, so during the first confinement, and at that time I really wanted to be out in nature, just like everybody else, and so it's a book that's going to have a lot of landscapes, and it's going to be really slow with like not a lot of dialogues, and mostly my character just walking through landscapes. So, but it's also about, I have trouble talking about it because I'm still writing it, but it's about relationship between men and women, and it's about a lot of things, but the inspiration at that time came from like wanting to go out, I guess, and so it was doing the research about Cocteau was so interesting and enriching, because actually reading about how other artists work and how they find inspiration and what their process is really inspiring. And so I never did that before. I haven't done any biographies ever, but that moved me so much to actually read about Cocteau. Cocteau talks a lot about himself and his artistic process, and that was really inspiring. So I think for the next books I will listen to more artists.
So you already started working on the next project in terms of writing?
Yeah, I thought I could do both this year, and I'm a bit overworked at the moment because like I never oh my god, okay, I'm going to say something that's really pompous, but you never plan for the unplanned, and that's my problem when I do sort planning. You never plan for things that will just happen, and you.
Yeah.
So I was like, if I work every day for 4 months on this, it's going to be okay. But then of course some stuff happened, and so now everything is. But it's gonna be okay. I will manage.
I'm sorry to ask again, but so when you start writing, you write in prose.
Yes.
And then it reaches some kind of dramatic.
Exactly.
Form.
Yeah. Well, it's when I work by myself, it's in my mind.
Yeah.
So I have I rely a lot on like I don't sketch that much. I just have images in my mind, and I hope I don't forget them.
Yeah. Any questions?
Do you have deadlines? I mean, when do you expect to read about Cocteau and the next one? Do you have that kind of projects? When do you plan to finish them?
Okay, so
Just to be
Cocteau is
No
good.
pressure.
No pressure. No, it's all clear with my publisher, so everything is fine. Cocteau, I was supposed to finish by the end of June, but it will be in July, I think, because like residency, and then I have another thing. But it will be done this summer. So it should be released this year if everything else goes right. But again, you can plan for.
unplanned.
Exactly. Plus, I think it's over now, but there was this paper crisis in the book industry recently.
Still is.
It's still going on. And the other one should be released next year. I just don't know. I was supposed to finish it. I thought I could finish it by the end of the year, but it's a more introspective book, so it's harder for me to write, and I just talked about it with my publisher, and We'll see. If I need more time, I will take more time because I don't want to rush it. I think it's more intimate, so I don't want.
It's for all people for the same publisher.
About what?
For the same publisher.
No, it's two different ones. My next solo book is going to be with the Lombard again, and the one about Cocteau, I was contacted by Steinkiss, so they came to me with that project, and that's it.
Any pressure?
It should be fine. It's just that I'm really happy and fortunate to have other projects at the same time. So again, I have to learn how to juggle with this. But I hope it keeps happening.
Can you tell us, by the way, something about how it is to be a comic book author in France today?
I don't precarious. Okay. I think that's the main word. Is precarious. So I actually at the moment I make a living with what I do, which is amazing. As long as I make books, I make a living. Enough. I am not rich. I am just at the average. But last year I had to have a day job. The year before that I was working on 10, so I didn't need a day job. But the years before that I always had multiple day jobs. Most comic authors have day jobs. Most of them are teachers, which is a really great day job, so I'm actually applying for it. Because I don't know what next year is going to be like, and I cannot work in bars and restaurants anymore. Just done with this. So yeah, most illustrators, artists, comic authors have day jobs. And the last figures that were released 3 years ago, I think, was that half of them live with minimum wage, and a third of them live under the poverty line. But in France, we have a it's not ideal. We still have a lot to fight for, but we still have a system that helps artists a lot. So especially during the pandemic, there has been a lot of help for artists. I don't want to say everything is perfect, but also I don't know how it is in Croatia. So I don't want to say that we are in a terrible situation. There is a lot of work and strive for, but we have a good system in France that we have to maintain. We have to fight for this system to still exist and even better it.
Well, I think maybe the main difference is that in France maybe the art of comic books is maybe more recognized.
It is the biggest market in Europe for sure.
Yes.
And in Croatia, I think that all comic artists they work for foreign editors. All of them.
That's a very
mostly for Marvel or for French editors.
It's a very interesting point because actually the comics, just as you said, the comic book industry is booming. It has been booming for years, and during the pandemic, publishers and bookstores in France at least had some of the best years ever. It sold a lot of books, but the authors are not benefiting from it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
That's one of the issues we're going through at the moment, is that the industry is booming, but the authors are still poor. So what's happening? How can we redistribute that better? It's a very complicated question that I don't have an answer for, because we are So I'm just going to talk about comic book artists. So it's hard to think of a way to actually pay us, because we are making something that nobody asks for, and so the demand is not there, but then it happens or not, so it's hard to
predict.
Yes, and so publishers do take risks, of course, but also like some. So it takes us so long to make to do what we do, and we are paid sometimes. I don't know, like independent editors don't have money, so sometimes they pay people for 2,000 euros for a year of work. Because they can't do it any other way. So it's really like the whole system is really complicated. Like I'm not the best person to talk about it in English, in Croatian. I don't know, but it is something that should really be thought of again. Because for instance, when you sell a book in France, at least, so if you do the shares of where money goes, the smallest part goes to the author, and that doesn't make sense. Like, I'm not saying that the other parts are not legitimate, but I'm saying that the fact that we are the one that gets the less money on our own work does not make sense at all. So this all should be thought of.
You did ink and color as well?
Yeah, I use something that some kind of watercolor. It's a Swiss brand that's called 40, and they make this thing that's called neocolor. So it's like pastel, but watercolor pastel. And this is what I used, and ink also.
It's completely handmade, or?
Yeah. I like for mistakes to happen, and I tried, so I think that the way I draw is too rigid sometimes, and I try to make it less rigid by allowing these mistakes to happen. So I use techniques I'm not necessarily very comfortable with, or that won't allow me to go into too many details. As I said before, I was really into manga when I was a teenager, and I think that manga is really, it's really precise and finite, and a lot of minutiae, and that's something I want to lose. And the habit I got that I want to lose, so I try to use techniques that allow me to have to draw faster and a wider gesture. I don't know if it makes sense.
Yeah, of course. It's beautiful, beautifully colored. It's really.
Thank you so much.
Really, very nice.
Thank you so much.
It's not only colorful, but it's very bright.
Yeah.
Well, this is a neocolor. So the tool I told you about has a very beautiful palette that I really loved, and I use most of it. And now I use other things, other type of watercolors, but the neocolor palette was just, I don't like making the colors myself, so I use theirs, and I love them. Please consult me. I've been talking about them for 2 years.
And you have, it seems to me, you have different treatment for when the main character is in Berlin and when he goes to New York.
Yeah, I think that maybe comes from my background in graphic design. So I like to adapt the way I draw to my projects and to the story in general. I don't really like artists that have a gimmick, even if it's a really good gimmick. And I see that in contemporary illustration a lot. Like people who have really, so they got this idea of the way they would make images, and then they make the same images the rest of their lives. And I don't think that's interesting. So I try to. I guess that also comes from cinema in a way, like from Nouvelle Vague, like or at least from Godard, the use of color. Like color can help you narrate, and our jobs as comic books authors is to tell a story, so you have to use everything you have, every tool you have to tell that story. So color is a part of it, and the way you draw also. So I try to be mindful of this.
Well, I'm looking forward to see it. If anyone has any questions, maybe.
Could you tell us what is process, let's say, from beginning to that, and then at the end you have this book on the table? Financing, negotiation with publisher. You in that process. Others in what? How it happens in France?
So my answer, which might not be the right answer, but I think it's a right one. So what you do is that you work on your project on your own, but you don't finish it. You start your project. You write your scenario, or at least a little bit of the scenario. You think about your characters. You make a few pages maybe, or you do sketches. You draw your graphic intentions, and then you send all of that to a publisher. And if they're interested in that project, they will sign a contract with you and then pay you to do that project. And then the book is made, and then you have to tour to promote it. The thing you should not do is to unless you want to self-publish, which is another thing, and it's very interesting, but you have to have people who will buy it at the end. You have to be sure of that. Anyway, unless you want to self-publish, you should never draw your whole comic yourself and then send it to a publisher. They will not read it. It's too much, and also they like to have a say in what you do. So, yeah, they like to accompany you through the process. So if you're already done with it, they can't. And also they receive a lot of different projects. So if they receive something that's that big, they won't read it. And lastly, if you work on your own and then send the project, you're not being paid in a way. Well, that's. For some people that doesn't matter, but I mean, if you want to actually have a career as a comic book author, you kind of want to be paid. So if you do a project on your own and then sell it, you will have done it for free. So.
What is average cost of publishing one comic book in France?
How much do they pay the artists?
In total, yeah. Printing, advertising, everything.
Oh, I don't know. I really don't know. That's the publishers know all of that.
Print runs. How many copies did they make, for example?
The first edition was 4,000. I think.
4,000.
Yes.
So and it's sold out. 4,000 sold out.
Yes.
And then second edition.
Yeah, and we're still on that second edition. The first one was more raspberry color. Yes, the red one is the second.
This one you prefer?
It makes more sense graphically, but I really like the raspberry color.
Did you felt a real difference once you won the prize in Angoulême? Like, was there really like before and after, or is
yes,
it, yeah,
yes, yes. It's life changing, really. For instance, I haven't had to look for a job ever since I got the prize. It just opportunities come to me, which is like incredible when you have been on the other side of the. It's just like I have sent so many resumes, projects, participated in so many contests and everything, and so now I don't have to do. I haven't had to do that in a while, and that's amazing. I'm a bit superstitious, so whenever I talk about it, I feel that maybe he's going to stop if I talk about it too much. But yeah, no, it is really maybe life changing, career changing. It's really it's happening for me right now. Just the fact that I can live from my real job, which is an author, is amazing. So I'm really happy about it.
So you go to different publishers for the same project, or not?
Yes, I didn't, because this project I was published by Leblanc because I sent it for a contest. There is this huge contest that's called the Prix Raymond Leblanc, where you send your comic project, and if you win, you are published by one of the 3 publishers that organize it. And they rotate, it's changed every year, so you don't choose who's going to publish you. So I ended up with Le Lombard, but I'm very happy, they're amazing. But usually, yes, you should send your project to, my first book, I sent it to 5 or 6 publishers, and I only got no's. I had 1 no, and then for the rest I had nothing. 2 no's, and the rest was nothing. And then in the end it got published, but that's another story. But yes, you should send it to multiple publishers, because it rarely works on the first try.
And do they come back to you? Like, okay, hello, what you have new? We have good business with you, with last project with you, and then do you have something new? Do you planning something?
Yes, so because this one worked, it had good critics and the prize, so it worked out well. And so my publisher came to me like, please, we want to keep working with you. So I came to her when I had a new idea right away. And they're okay with me doing a book with another publisher, but I don't have a strict contract where I have to stay with them forever. But for the moment, the relationship is working for us both. Like, I like them and they treat me really well, and so far they're happy to work with me too.
So bottom line, I don't ask you to answer question how much money you will earn, but not that. But actually, which part, how long in the year you could live with one project?
How long does it take me to...
So 1 month, 3 months, 5 months, whole year. When you receive your honorar, your contract earned money.
Oh, okay. So I will not tell you how much I got paid because it's a bit rude. I think.
No, I'm not asking.
No, not you. No, you are not rude. I think it's a very important question. I just think it's not the place, but it's a very important question because there is no fixed price. I can live with what I do because I have this. I'm lucky enough to be with a big publisher. If you're with an indie publisher or just a small one, you as I said before. So I'm just going to give you a range. So around me, people I've talked to about it have earned for one book between 500 euros and 25,000 euros for one book. So yeah, so you earn anything in between, depending on the publisher you work with. There is no fixed price. And one of my friends did a book that was paid 5,000 euros, and she's doing another book with the same publisher, and now she's going to be paid 10,000 euros. Some of my friends are paid 2,000 because that's just they can give. Some are paid 500. Some are paid 15,000. That's just there's no fixed price. It's really. So as far as how you can live with that much money, well, that depends on how much you got, but they don't pay up. So I am paid. What I'm paid is in the higher figures, and I'm not paid all at once. They pay me when I ask them to pay me. We just like a salary. I send them a bill, and they pay me. It's so I can have something that looks like a salary for like a year. I try to work on a book for a year once I have a contract, because that way I make something that looks like minimum wage. So that's nice. But usually it takes longer than a year.
My editor is investing in you, and your book.
Yes, of course. And again, my publisher is a big one, so I can live and just by doing my books. I don't have to have another job. Yeah.
I just remembered I want to ask you one question, if it's okay, something that we talked about earlier, about this subtle autobiographical layer in the story.
Yes, it is. Everything you do as an artist is autobiographical in a way. I try not to be too autobiographical. I try to keep a little distance, because also it helps you see more clearly. So, as I said before, the dichotomy between Broadway musical and the modern dance world is a way of talking about the comics versus the rest of the high art world. So it was a way of talking about popular art versus high art, noble art, like fine arts, because there is a lot of common aspects. So that's the main autobiographical part. Also, you will see that my character is dealing with trauma, and that's so. When I was doing that book, I was in depression, actually, and which is one of the reasons why I wanted to do something, to work on something that made me happy, and to watch musicals. And so I think that inspired my character a lot, because he grew up during World War II, so of course he has trauma, and he's trying to escape it throughout the whole book. But it always catches it back to you. And so I have a few shared traits with Uli, but it's not that obvious. Like, you wouldn't, if you know me intimately, you will know that you will notice them. But like my shrink knew right away. It was like, but in the the other aspects, we're not the same at all. He's a little bit of me, and the other characters are also little bits of me, and bits of people around me. The way you write, I guess. I don't know how you write.
So, how happened that you came here in Croatia, in Zagreb?
I don't know, I was just passing by. I was invited by the Institut Français. I'm really happy to have been invited, because Croatia is a country I've been wanting to visit for a while now. So I will be here a short time, and so I will mostly be in Zagreb, but I will come back, definitely. And yeah, that's it.
How long are you gonna stay? How long are you gonna stay?
Until June 2nd. So 10 days in total, 9-10 days. It's not bad.
It's excellent. And you have exhibition in the French Institute.
Yes.
How happened that?
Sorry?
How happened that you have an exhibition?
Well, the French Institute contacted me to ask if I was interested in the residency, and also because they were interested in doing an exhibition, and I was interested in doing both. So I sent, I had to send the original art through my publisher, but it worked perfectly fine. And and I arrived yesterday, and so I get to see the end of the exhibition, and then I will bring the drawings back with me to my yard.
How much you know, or what is your knowledge about the cartoon scene in Croatia? Do you know any of authors here?
I know one, and I forgot his name. I am so sorry.
Could you draw him? Could you draw him so we could recognize him?
His book is called. So his book was released in France very recently, and he had a lot of amazing reviews. And I finally read it last week, I think, or 2 weeks ago, and it's a masterpiece. It's called Petar and Lisa, I think. And the author, are you looking for his name?
Yes, because
apparently.
Miroslav Sekulić Struja.
Could you repeat it louder a little bit?
Miroslav Sekulić
Struja.
That's good.
And I think you told me that this book was not released in Croatia.
He lives in France and he published it in France and he did publish, I think, in Croatia.
Okay. But I hope it gets published because it is a masterpiece. It's a beautiful book. Like graphically, it's beautiful, but also the story. It's a poem. It's beautiful.
It's something about children, right?
It's about a love story between Petar and Lisa, and I don't know much about Croatia, so I don't know how much it talks about Croatia. But I'm assuming that it's saying something about Croatia because, like, the city where it happens is also a character of the book, definitely. And there's a lot of people connecting, people passing through different places, time passing, daytime turning into nighttime. It's really poetic. It's a gorgeous book. So. I know this Miroslav person. I'm so sorry. I don't want to butcher his name.
Okay. Do you have a plan to meet some other characters here in Croatia during your staying here, or some other artists?
I'm going to do a talk at the Fine Arts Academy Friday, so I will meet some artists.
Comic department.
Yeah, so I'm really eager to meeting them and discovering the local scene.
Šta postoji, pardon, comic department?
Yes, at the Fine Arts Academy.
Wow.
I'm not sure if it's a department.
It's a special class. It's an optional class, more than a department.
Okay.
So it's Friday, what time?
5:30.
5:30.
Should tell me this. Okay, I mean, I don't have any more questions.
Thank you.
I'm not sure what.
Thank you so much. I don't know whatever.
I might have one more question then. I mean, in the book, there's two characters at the end that you're giving like a forward story kind of, and so they're real person, or you just imagine how they would have. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know if it meant that they were actual real person, since you have worked on real person, and I was wondering if you feel it's different to talk about a fictive character and a real person. Yeah.
So these characters are not real, but they were inspired by real people, or rather some of their histories were inspired by real people, and so I thought it would be interesting to do the what is it called when you do that?
Where they are now?
Yes, yeah, to do where are they now at the end, and include a bit of actual history in it, because this is also something that's happening throughout the book, like a little bit of not a history lesson, but you have like precise dates and that happened then, and so, but no, the book about Cocteau is the first biography difficult book I've ever done. I was very interested in that exercise, and now I think I might never do it again. I think it's too much pressure, and I feel weird about appropriating someone that's a real person. It's a very weird feeling.
It's very popular nowadays.
It is. I enjoy watching them, reading them, but doing it myself. I was really interested in the exercise. There are lots of people I would have loved to do biographies about, but it turns out that I don't know. Like I feel very
it is weird.
Yeah.
Like playing with someone else.
Yeah, I want to be respectful, and I don't know where the respect ends. The respectfulness ends in this kind of situations. So I don't know if I will do more biographies afterwards.
Did you think about novel adaptation?
Yes, I would love to do that. Actually, it's one of my future projects. So I love, yeah, many years. We'll see. I love Hans Christian Andersen, and I would love to do an adaptation of one of his tales that's called, I don't know what it's called, The Ice Maiden, I guess. La Vierge des Glaciers in French. I don't know what the tales are called in English. La Reine des Neiges, the Snow Queen, I guess, is one of the most beautiful things I've ever read in my whole life. It's gorgeous, and but it's too beautiful. I don't want to touch it. It's too beautiful. But La Vierge des Glaciers is also set in Switzerland, so I actually would be. It's very romantic. Well, in the Andersen way. It's romantic and it's really sad. It's romance with God, I guess.
And for children.
Yeah, we treated children differently back then. And so I haven't read any of his latest books, but I used to be really fond of John Irving. And again, I don't know the English title, but in French it's L'épopée du buveur d'eau. So it's one of his first books, and at some point I wanted to adapt it. No, I don't know. I have to reread it. John Irving has a way of playing with time that I don't know how it would translate to a comic book. It could be interesting. Maybe, but yeah, it's a good challenge. But maybe like.
The title is The Watcher Method.
Thank you so much. But maybe I had all of these ideas for adaptation as a clutch because I was afraid of doing my own projects. Then yes, I am, and I'm just starting. So I wanted to try biography. I did. I will try an adaptation, and then see if I like it. We'll see. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Okay, so nobody has.
Now, from the team, thanks to our partners, so Hrvatski P.E.N. Center, the library Marije Jurić Zagorke. Zagorka. Okay. I will end up with correcting. And the Ministry of Culture for being always with us. So thank you. And now we will move to French Institute for the opening of the late opening of this exhibition.
Thank you so much for such a warm welcome. It was a great moment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.